Welcome to the Movies of the Damned podcast. My name is Kyle Grant, and I'm sitting here with my friend and published horror author, John Hunt. If you enjoy what you hear here today, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our Facebook page, and follow us on both Instagram and Twitter at Damned Movies. Email us any questions, comments, and suggestions to moviesofthedamned@gmail.com. For further details on John's published works, please visit his blog, johnhuntfiction.wordpress.com. Today, we'll be discussing Leigh Whannell's 2020 science fiction horror film, The Invisible Man. The movie opens as Cecilia stages a late-night escape from the home of her controlling boyfriend, Adrian. Even though Cecilia escapes, she's convinced Adrian will be coming after her, but her fears soon vanish as it's revealed that Adrian committed suicide. However, her paranoia soon returns after several unexplained experiences, and she becomes convinced that Adrian faked his death and is tormenting her. The torment causes Cecilia's mental health to crumble, and eventually she is institutionalized in a mental health facility. Her suspicions are eventually proven correct, though, as it turns out that Adrian had been using a suit to turn himself invisible and tormenting her the entire time. However, she's ultimately able to use the suit against him and kills him. John, opening thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. And I watched it with my family, and I thought, you know what, we should do a podcast on this. I know you hadn't seen it yet, so I suggested it to you, and I hope you feel the same way.
Yeah, this was a good film. This was a good watch, start to finish. You're in it the entire time. It's suspenseful. It's interesting. It's well acted. Tons of good things to say about this. Where I want to start though is Leigh Whannell.
Yeah, man.
He is becoming a powerhouse.
Good for him, man. It took a long time though, because he's been putting out great stuff for years.
Yeah, I think it had to do with the fact, and this is just my personal opinion and speculation, that in the industry he was kind of overshadowed a little bit by James Wan, and he might not have got the credit that he first deserved. But as we've seen recently with some of his stellar performances in filmmaking recently, he can stand on his own 2 feet, and anything that has Leigh Whannell's name attached to it, I'm in.
Oh, for sure, and James Wan. I think James Wan's also excellent too. So.
Oh, no! And don't take that as a criticism.
No,
James Wan.
I wasn't. I was just just want to make sure like that. I think they're both excellent, and they're both masters in their field right at this moment.
Exactly, and so let's see them both do great things. And if they want to come together again, because I was a big soft, they want to come together again, sure. If not, I'm perfectly fine with them making the movies that they want to make, because they're both doing a fantastic job at it.
For sure.
So looking at this movie, I liked it.
Yeah.
But there were some issues. I'm going to be nitpicking here, but again, don't confuse this. It's a thumbs up, an overwhelming thumbs up, but I had issues from start to finish.
I had issues as well. That being said, it's the pacing, the writing, the directing overshadowed a lot of that stuff. So at no point was I not enjoying this film or thought, oh my God, I didn't do any of that stuff. This was a fun movie with a sleeping with the enemy vibe and science fiction vibe, and it was just a fun film. But yes, let's start with the criticisms. Let's go.
Perfect word you use though. Overshadowed. The criticisms are far overshadowed by how good this film was. But criticism right off the bat. Well, I guess kind of great and then criticism. But the opening scene, fantastic. This movie hit the ground running. Amazing tension right away. Like, there's no dialogue being spoken, and right away you know, oh, she must be in an abusive relationship or something. She's trying to sneak out. Is he going to wake up? Just a fantastic opening scene. Mm-hmm. And then for me at the very end, him punching through a car window. No. That doesn't happen. That is not possible.
Well, it's possible. Um, I would say it's impossible for the windshield, but it's not impossible for a side window. However,
Highly
broken,
unlikely. Will you meet
yeah,
me there?
highly unlikely. Broken hand afterwards, absolutely.
Broken hand, cut up to pieces, blood everywhere. Like
Yeah.
one clean punch. No, no way.
No, I absolutely agree with that. But I think it's one of those things that sometimes they just want to get across the rage of the person, and sometimes the way to do that is through a physical act that may or may not be feasible. Um, I don't know if that was the attempt here, or you know, they want us to believe that it's normal for a man to be able to punch through a window,
Which it isn't.
because it's not, absolutely not. But it was still a fun scene.
Yeah, no, no, still a fun
Yeah,
scene, but again, had to bring that up.
yeah,
But then she kind of gets away, but she's still paranoid because she doesn't trust him. She thinks he's going to come after her. Obviously, he couldn't accept the relationship being over. So she kind of moves in with, it's kind of like her sister's friend who's a police officer. And she moves in with him and his daughter. Is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah. And they're both police officers. Like he's a police officer as well.
Yeah, he is. Is the sister a police officer too?
Yep, yep.
Oh, okay. I missed that somewhere along the way.
Well, I
But
think
okay.
that wasn't brought up until they had their dinner.
Oh,
I
okay. Yeah,
wasn't
yeah, yeah.
clear about that until they had their dinner. But yeah,
Okay. Great scene, by the way, but we'll make it there anyways,
yeah,
eventually. Um, but I love how kind of he starts terrorizing her slowly. So it's not like obvious acts, but it's almost just like to mess with her. And
yes,
as the viewer, I'm just like sitting there shaking my head with like a grin on my face. I'm like, this is wild. This is crazy. Just like when she's kind of like sleeping in the same bed as the daughter and the blanket slowly gets pulled off of her.
yep,
And then she's trying to pull the blanket back on. And I interpret at least like he's stepping on the edge of it. What
yeah,
a cool looking scene.
yeah. It was, yeah. There's only
Oh,
really good special effects done for this, actually.
Oh, great special effects. And
Yeah,
then a great thing about that scene, and I'm sure you picked up on this, but the daughter pulls out the pepper spray
yeah. The
just
mace
to
or
kind of
whatever.
just to introduce it. And the dad jokingly says, "Who are you going to spray? There's no one here." And she puts it away. But I'm like, that's going to come important later.
For
If there's
sure.
going to be some use for that, and there was a use because later on she sprays him, which
Yeah,
is I just thought it was a cool way of explaining it. And I would have felt a little cheated if they had never brought it up, and then just all of a sudden she has the mace or the pepper spray when she needs it.
yeah. I know. You know what? I'll say this about James Wan and Lee Winnell. Like, there are other movies and stuff that I've watched of them. Like, they don't miss out on those things. Like they add the proper building blocks. They don't have a lot of gaps in their plots, right?
Yeah.
So I yeah, once again I appreciate their work.
Yeah, and th this is a great example of work to appreciate
Hmm.
because again, as I said, like the progression of this movie is so good. He could have easily just gone and killed her right away, but he
Yeah,
doesn't want to do that. He wants to punish her. He wants to torment her, and the best way to do that is to make her seem crazy and to turn people in her life against her.
yeah,
And I
isolate
thought it
her.
was so unique and so well done how they kind of slowly did that throughout of him getting into her email account and emailing her sister,
Hmm.
and then the daughter um, thinking that she hit her when really she
Yeah.
didn't. Like just kind of
Well,
stuff like that, and it slowly started to build.
well, that's what I mean. Like, so you hear about that, like in what do they call it? The cycle of violence in domestics, right? So one of the first things that they do, the abusive partner tries to separate you from friends and family. So not only he did that in real life, or I mean when she thought he was alive, but now he's also doing it when she thinks he's dead. So it's just such a clever way to continue that domestic violence theme, right? Which is horrible, right? But it was a
Yeah,
good way to
but presented perfectly
yeah,
and in a
yeah,
very clever way for this film.
for sure.
But then the other thing too, John, is, and you obviously would have noticed this too, you kind of see the her physical look change as the movie's
Yes.
going on, and she's
Yep.
becoming more and more paranoid. Her mental health is crumbling. She's becoming more disheveled looking. Like
Yeah.
so well done.
Yeah, because she's doubting her own sanity too, right? And how do
Yeah,
you show that? You show that through her reaction to the stress that's going around her. And once again, great acting and a great presentation of her acting. A really good job. Um, I
and
did.
then
I have
sorry,
to.
go ahead.
I have to admit though, for the most part, well, not for the most part, up until they have that dinner that we're not talking about yet.
Yeah.
Um, I thought this was just a. It felt like a regular movie, like a good movie, but nothing out there, nothing that grabbed my attention very strongly. But until that dinner scene, then I was like, oh my god, this movie just got so interesting. And I like after that, I was like,
Well,
I
because
was
I didn't see that coming. Like I don't think you could have predicted that.
you couldn't predict that. You
And
yeah.
and so
Go
for
ahead.
people who haven't seen the film, she's sitting there having dinner, and then just with another who is she sitting there with again?
With her
The
sister.
with her sister. That's right. That's right. Sorry, it
Yeah,
escaped me for a second.
yeah, yeah,
But they're sitting there having dinner, and then Adrian, or it's you believe it's Adrian, slits the sister's throat, and like a microsecond later puts the knife um into her hand. So it looked like she was the murderer when it was really him. Like
yeah.
how
Because
wild.
I know, because he's wearing that invisible suit. Like, and once again, we're talking about the small progressions, or just a small little thing, like you mentioned the mace and whatever, right? But remember, she was the first opening scene. She was escaping from the house. You saw she walked through his lab in the background. You saw a suit on in the background. You saw all the stuff that he was working on. So you knew what would be coming, or not even what would be coming, but it was the I guess the little footsteps leading you to that road, to that realization, were being planted very early on in this film, and that's
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
really clever directors and writers do. Um, they plant the seeds along, so when it does, the realization does come, or the big scene does come, you don't feel cheated, and you're surprised, but you're not real so surprised that you couldn't have seen it, right? So I what that's what I really liked about that dinner scene is that yeah, it's a possibility that it could have happened at any time. You knew he was trying to isolate her from friends and family so he could get her alone, but you didn't like I didn't see him killing the sister for her to go to jail where she would be
Yeah.
extremely isolated, right? So
Yeah, and I didn't see that coming either. And maybe I missed this. Right before the throat slitting happens, do you see the knife, or how did he
no, yeah,
hide the knife? Like
no,
it just seemed like it just kind of happened, and then the knife's in her hand, like kind of
no.
wild.
You should watch that again because that's a great scene, dude. It's so she's sitting there and she's talking to
Yeah,
her sister, and her
and
sister
she's animated, her hands are in the air, and that type of.
yeah, so she's talking to her sister, and her sister stops, kind of looks over her shoulder, and it's just like it stops talking and has like an open mouth thing, and then she was like, "What?" And then she looks to her side, and the knife is floating in midair,
Oh, I missed that.
and then
Yeah,
it
okay.
comes out and cuts her throat, and then it pops into her hand. I'm like, this is so cool. I really, that's when I was like, this movie got so much fun, so interesting right now, like so good.
And yeah, love that scene too. So I'll have
Mm.
to go back and watch that again. But when I, at first glance, I don't know if I looked away for a second or I just missed it. I didn't see the knife until the slash happened and then it appeared in the hand. But no, great scene.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So to rewind for a second, so kind of right before that, or a little bit before that, when she kind of finally has a big confrontation at the house, and that's when Adrian pretends like she hit the daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
so then she's left alone at the house.
Yep,
um Ends up going up to the attic because she remember she dials the cell phone, hears the
yep.
cell phone ringing, goes up to the attic, finds it, um and then she just has the thought to throw the paint out of the attic opening, and it kind of covers his face. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so that's really the ultimate proof that she needs. This is happening. She's not crazy. This is going on. Would you
Hmm.
agree with me there?
Yes. Well, it's just once again to she she has enough proof to believe that he's there with the phone and with what she finds up in the attic and the things that he uses that specifically tailored to her. Right. So
Hmm.
the pills that she used to knock him out ends up being in her bathroom. Right.
Yeah,
So it's just like there's she knows there's something going on here. She knows and believes that he's not dead,
yeah,
and so but she doesn't know how. But she does know he's genius. He's a genius, and that he's able to do, and that he was working on things, right? So, um,
yeah.
but yeah. So when the paint landed on him and outlined him, yeah, that brought it all into sharp focus for her for sure. I would agree with that.
And then she leaves the attic and goes to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Why? Why doesn't she just leave the house immediately? Because it's been proven correct. Get out of there.
What, she went to the kitchen for something though, didn't she? For the phone or something? For another phone?
I thought she was washing her hands or washing something.
She
I
did
can't
watch.
remember.
She did do something.
But I just thought like why like leave that house right
Oh
away.
no,
But then
she followed the footprints to the kitchen because she wanted to, because he had paint on him,
yeah.
right? So then he obviously was washing himself off, but she was just following to reaffirm what was going on, and then
I
to
just think that's foolish. I think that she's scared. It's been shown that she's scared the entire time. Get out of
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. And I don't disagree with you, but I also um, I don't really have a problem with that in the instance that, like, yeah, so she runs out of the house, and then what?
No, no, I hear you, but I just kind of like an observation. But
Yeah,
I like that she didn't leave because it created that crazy fight scene with the great special effects, like smashing plates over something that isn't there,
yeah, yeah,
her being lifted in the air. I'm like, wow, this is like a very cool visual
yeah,
fight scene. And so like, oh, I'm glad she didn't leave because then we got to see that.
for sure. And I know, I'm pretty sure she went to the kitchen for something.
Okay.
Or though I could be projecting, I don't know because I want it to be that way. But at the same time, my the reason why I don't really have too much of an issue with it is like one in the kitchen there was either the phone or a knife that she could have, right? Because she was
Hmm.
following the footprints. Two, she runs out of the house and then what? She calls someone to say, "Hey, this invisible man's here." She's still in the exact same position that she was before. No one's gonna believe her,
Yeah.
and she's
But at
isolated.
least she's alive.
Well,
Right? Because if I'm her in that spot, I'm like, he's here to kill me. Get me out of here.
yeah. So but also, like at the same time, it was kind of it's believable that what she saw, but it's also unbelievable what you saw. Right? It's kind of like one of those things where you see something and you're not sure that you saw it because it's so unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
So
like, could this possibly be true? Or are my eyes playing tricks on
yeah,
me?
like what the hell just happened, right? So that whole
Yeah.
thing. So I don't know. Once again, we've talked about this before. Unless they're showing us um, what exactly is taking place, like us projecting or trying to speculate about it, is pointless because we're never gonna know.
Okay. So then that scene ends, and before we get to the restaurant scene that we both loved, she chooses to go back to his house and not the police.
Yep.
Thoughts on that?
Why would she go to the police?
Why would she go to his house?
Well, she went to his house because there's resources there for her, and
Yeah,
that's
she wanted to get the second suit. I get that, but like you're going into the belly of the beast there.
yeah. But here's the thing. So once again. She goes to the police. Would you like if you were a police officer? Would you be like going, yeah, yeah, come on in. Yep. Hmm. Maybe we should call someone. This girl needs help, or this woman needs like some sort of mental health going on, right? You wouldn't believe her. There's no way.
Yeah.
So, and she already knows this because the people that she loves and trusts don't believe her,
Yeah, and you
right?
know what? I guess that even though she's been proven correct by seeing all this evidence, she can't really show
No,
that evidence to other
she
people,
has to
right?
bring that to other people. And the only way she can bring that physical evidence to someone else is by getting more of it. So I don't
Yeah.
know if she necessarily went there to find the second suit. I don't think she knew there was a second suit. I don't know how she could have known that. I think she went there just to find out what he was, to be able to prove what he was working on, or even to know what he was working on,
Okay.
right? So to go there and go, hey, look, he is working on this thing and he's made it work. This is this invisible suit he's created, or whatever the case may be, right? So I think she went there just to find more proof that he has done something exceptional here and he's terrorizing me.
And then she gets there, and the dog is still at the house, even though Adrian's apparently dead.
Yeah, I didn't like that part either.
Yeah, and again, it sounds like I'm being so negative here, and I hate being so negative, but I just like noticed a few issues as we went along the
Well,
way.
that is an issue. Like, why is the dog there? Like, how long has he been dead for? Right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
why is the dog still there? They didn't say
And
anyone. They didn't say anyone was coming by to look at the house. They didn't say the brother. Like, they didn't say any of that stuff. So it didn't make any sense.
I think I just got to be the negative guy in this episode, but I got more for you, John, because right after the murder happens, of her sister, the cop who she was staying with is then the one interviewing her at the mental health facility. No, that's not the. If you had a personal relationship with someone, you wouldn't be the investigator.
No. So Here's the thing. I know that's not how it would work in Canada, but I don't know how it would work in the States. I really don't.
There's no way that they would let somebody who has a personal relationship, you have like they have someone staying at their house and then they become the lead investigator in a murder case that
I
person's involved in. No
so
way. That's a huge conflict of interest.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. I'm just saying I don't know. That's all I'm saying. And so, but
Yeah.
I would say it's unlikely. But I would also say I didn't get any indication that he was the lead. I got the indication that the other guy was the lead and that he was there just as like because he does know her, and a lot of times they want to establish rapport with people, right? So
Uh,
he already has rapport with her.
I guess.
I'm just saying once again, if we're speculating, then something was done wrong because we should know, right?
Okay.
So I'm not. That's what I mean by I'm not disagreeing with you, right? Only in the set that
Yeah, yeah.
because we're having a discussion about it, it wasn't presented
Hmm.
in a clear manner. Then that should have been, you know, uh, that part should have been probably worked on.
Yeah. No, no. And that's a good way of putting it. But then I loved how she drew him into the open, so to speak, at the asylum with the threat to kill herself.
Yeah, I know that was good. That's
So
good.
well done, and kind of gets out of there. And then
I'll do tell you,
and,
I do have a big problem with the time span, right?
okay.
So like, um, so she's in there for killing her sister, right? Um, in the mental health asylum, like, but you have to get assessed, right? Like, normally how it works, in order to go into a mental health institution, you have to be assessed by a doctor and then put into a health institution, unless the judge orders that you get psychiatric assessment before being put into a prison population. I had a problem with her just immediately going there, everyone assuming that she was crazy.
Yeah.
I would be more like she would go into the prison population and then she'd be evaluated there.
Yeah. Or was she like wasn't she in kind of like a catatonic state though?
Well, I don't know how that would be when she's being interviewed by people.
Yeah, no, 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 you're making sense. Um, but then she does eventually get out of there. And yeah, there are some, this is a movie about someone turning themselves invisible, right? So maybe I'm being too harsh on it, and maybe you are with a little bit too with that last point. Um, but then she gets out of there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then an Easter egg that was planted earlier comes true. So remember earlier when she was first being kind of minimally tormented,
Yeah.
and the fire starts in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and the fire extinguisher comes out. And as soon as the fire extinguisher comes out, I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. They're
Yeah.
going to spray the fire extinguisher and you're going to see him standing there. But she sprays the fire extinguisher and nothing happens.
Yeah.
But then it comes back at the big confrontation at the house where
Yeah.
they grab it again, and this time it illuminates him, so to speak. I just thought
Mm-hmm.
that was so cool.
No, it was cool. Like once, like I don't think we're really being negative. I just think we're just doing what we normally do. Is that we
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about points of a movie that to us didn't make sense. But once again, I'd watch this movie again. I'd watch it a couple more times. It was really a lot of
oh yeah.
fun. I really
And
enjoyed this
I
film.
would recommend it to people. I'm like, you want to
Yeah,
have an enjoyable movie viewing experience? Watch this. I'd even recommend it to people who aren't necessarily horror fans. I'm
for
like, this is
sure.
just a great thriller, great suspenseful movie, not overly gory or anything
Yeah,
like that. I would have a hard press with someone telling me they didn't like this movie. They
yeah,
could have issues with parts of the movie like we did, but I'd have a
yeah.
hard time with them saying this is a thumbs down.
Well, here's my main issue with this movie.
Yeah,
Um, so she thinks Adrian killed himself, right?
yeah,
And the brother presents pictures of this, right?
yeah,
Her friends are cops, right? Her sister and her friend is a cop, correct?
yeah, yeah,
They couldn't get the report on his suicide when she starts bringing this stuff up.
yeah,
I think he's
exactly.
alive. Like so, because
Well, that's a good point. I didn't think of that
you'd have to have a
because
yeah.
yeah,
This
because
is
she would be like, I think he's still alive. I think he's stalking me, and they can be like, he's not. Look, we're looking at the report. We're looking at the crime scene pictures. Yeah, I know you're making sense.
yeah, right. Because you'd have to have like this like a suicide like that. They're always investigated by police. I don't care what part of North America you're from. It's not like it's different if you come home and your elderly grandparent had passed away in their sleep, right? Not the police not necessarily will show up, right? We're not they're not going to show up for something that is clearly not suspicious. But a suicide is one of those you know it's one of those things that they're told to look out for, because a suicide could be a staged murder. So police
Yeah,
always go to those. So there
you're
would
right.
be a report, the body would be there would be a postmortem done, right?
Hmm.
Or at least the coroner would have attended, right? There's just that was my huge issue with this, and it's so
And
funny.
that didn't even cross my mind. I have all these other issues, but that one doesn't, and it makes perfect sense.
So when I'm watching it with my family, they hate it when. Sometimes they hate it. Well, Ethan doesn't, but most of them hate watching movies with me, because I'll say like, okay, that doesn't make sense. So I've learned to keep my mouth shut, right? Because when I said on, well, not I haven't learned it that well, obviously, because when I said, well, how did they? Why would they ever believe it was a suicide to begin with? They're like, be quiet, Dad. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
telling
yeah,
me
yeah.
to be about that. But like that was my main issue. Like, it's a dead body is kind of a big deal. So
Yeah.
there's usually lots of paperwork and lots of reports that go along with it. And it would make more sense to me if the friend wasn't a cop and the sister wasn't a cop, and then maybe she didn't know about it. Like, then it would make more sense that she wouldn't know about this stuff, or no one would have looked into it for her, right? Because
And then you wouldn't have had that issue.
no, I wouldn't have that issue, because the brother would have been like, "Here's your money. He's dead."
Yeah.
But they even did the sister came over with an article about it. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, I don't buy any of that. Like, you just don't say someone killed themselves and then don't produce a body and don't produce police reports or don't have anyone go. It just doesn't happen that way. It would never happen that way.
Especially in being able to distribute all that wealth too, right? Like people will be looking into that.
Well, for sure, right? But it comes back to the main point, like, uh, especially in North America, because I write a lot of books about this stuff, right? So I know the procedure, and I know this stuff pretty well. It's just because I do my research for that stuff, and I know that that's one of the things that gets investigated by
Hmm.
police are suicides.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, and
And
I know coroners go to those as well. It's just the
yeah.
way it is.
No, and so that's a major issue that I didn't think of, but you're making sense, John. But what I want to find out is I want your opinion on what I'm going to call the big twist.
Hmm.
So to me, I thought the movie was over. She kills him, and then it ends up it's not him, and it's the brother, and he had been apparently, allegedly, kidnapped the entire time. What did you think of that twist?
I didn't think it was accurate at all. I just thought, because they did set that part up the whole time with the brother let out what he really thought, right, about being manipulated and about doing whatever.
Yeah, he let
Um,
the cat out of the bag when he's like, "This can all end if you agree to go back with him and have the baby." So you knew he was involved in some way, but I didn't know that he was also getting in the suit.
no, I mean before that. I mean when she first met him and was getting the money, and or the second time when she wanted to confront him, that you could tell Adrian to stop this.
Yeah.
Right when she went there with her cop friend, you can tell him to stop this. That'd be good. And then the brother says, "Yeah, I hated him too. I hated him, like blah blah blah." I knew then. I was like, okay, this is fishy. This is not right. This brother, the Adrian's been shown to be a master manipulator throughout the entire film. He knows what people are going to do before they do it, and he tries to be that step ahead of them. He has the brother in his pocket. So I was like, I knew the brother would pop up in some way more involved than he was, than just being the money guy. So
Yeah.
I just thought I didn't really think it was much of a twist for that
Uh,
for me anyways.
oh, well, I just thought that that was the end of the movie. Oh, she's killed him. It's over. But I was surprised to see the brother there, and then for the movie to go a little bit farther. But I thought the actual ending was given away a little bit when she agrees to go back to the house. I'm like, there's no way in her right mind she's going back to that house unless she plans to kill him. That was just my thought. So I thought that the end was kind of given away a little bit there.
I thought I thought there's
You
two.
hear what I'm saying there?
No,
Like,
I
there's no
do.
way she goes back.
No, I'm hearing you, and I'm just saying that for what I saw, I thought there was two potential endings. One being she would set him up, try to set him up into admitting that he did all this stuff all along, and two, that she would kill him. So I knew that because she hid the second invisible suit, that it was going to pop up at some point. So I was leaning more strongly towards she kills him at the end. But um like I thought there was two possible endings. So I'm not going to sit there and say I knew this was going to happen, because I didn't. I thought there was two potential endings, and those were the two potential endings that I saw. But what I also didn't like is that he just says he's alive. Like, I don't even know. It's like he's alive now, and so he was kidnapped the whole time, and
It
there was
wasn't me. I love you. Come back.
there wasn't an investigation into that even. Like, it's just I just say this stuff and then it's okay. It's so
Yeah.
weird. They just left out a whole part. Like, um, police are very involved in that stuff. Like I said, like it's I don't know. Like, especially when there's money involved and death, and like there's this, especially with multiple murders going on. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
so the brother was found at the house in the invisible suit. So now they're going to attribute the sister's death to the invisible man. But like the brother though, but how, like,
Yeah. It's all on the brother, right? Yeah.
but
It's too convenient.
it would be extremely investigated. And secondly, they're not just going to let her out because they don't know. They could say, yeah, it could have been the brother or it could have been you. We don't know,
Yeah.
right? There's
No,
no
you're right.
evidence. There's no evidence to suggest that it was the brother at the restaurant who killed her sister. There's nothing
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
other than the fact that he did track her down at the mental health institution, but you can't say that that's proof of another offense. You could say it's
Mhm.
likely, but once again, like, you don't just let people go just because, right? You kind of want, you know, evidence and stuff.
No, yeah, I hear you, buddy. What you're saying is making sense. And again, we enjoyed this movie, but there are these things that you think about afterwards. But again, for a movie going experience, you're going to enjoy this all the way through. And the critics did. Rotten Tomatoes critic score 91, audience score 88. So the critics loved it, the audience loved it. It was also a big moneymaker. They made this film for only $7 million, which I actually was impressed with considering how good the special effects were. I thought it would
Yeah,
come in a lot more expensive than that.
yeah,
Um, Box office over 124 million,
for sure.
which on its face is a great return. But again, consider this was released on February 28th. So it didn't even get a full month in theaters before COVID-19 hit and theaters were shut down.
Hmm.
Imagine how much this movie would have made if it had had a full theatrical run, because it was released on digitally on demand just 3 weeks after its original movie theater release. So on March
I
20th,
know.
it was available for download, which is kind of wild, kind of crazy. I can only imagine how much money this movie would have made if it again had that full theatrical run.
I know, because I don't know how much they take from the box office itself, but just think about it this way. Like, so we rented it for $20, right? To stream it at home for $20.
Yeah.
So, and it was like, me and my older kids watched it, right? So there would have been four, yeah, there would have been five of us watching it for $20. We were to go to the theaters, that's $100 for us,
Yeah,
right?
no,
So
no,
it's so I like even it was a great deal. If it's
yeah.
still streaming for that, stream it right now. You're missing out. It's a fun film, well worth your
And,
time. Am
and
I
then,
in
so
the
are you in the
90s? No,
90s? Yeah, that's my
no,
question.
no.
Where are you?
I'm in like I'm probably about between, I would say 83.
That's hilarious. I was gonna go low 80s as well. I thought you were gonna go high 80s with the audience score, but no, I'm low 80s. Thumbs up though.
Yeah.
And one other interesting thing that I saw is that they're looking to make a spin-off kind of. Elizabeth Banks is set to star and direct and produce The Invisible Woman.
Ooh, I like Elizabeth Banks. She's good.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
And then another little tidbit that I found. Um, do you know who was originally supposed to star in this movie?
Nope.
Johnny Depp.
Really?
Yeah, so that was when for a while they were going to do this thing where like every year there was going to be this new kind of like monster universe, and there's going to be a
Yeah,
new
the
monster
Universal one.
movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then the Mummy one kind of flopped.
Yeah.
So when that was first in planned, Johnny Depp was going to be the character in this one. And then when that flop happened, they kind of be like, okay, let's reassess. Let's just do some standalones, and then kind of Johnny Depp and the Invisible Man drifted apart, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
I like this
great.
better. I like it when they make it because they're monster movies, so they should be scary. So I liked it.
Yeah. No, I this was a great flick. I know
Mm.
we nitpicked a lot. We had some complaints, but overall great movie. Check it out. As John said, it's streaming. Pay the money. I know there's so many options out there, but pay the money. You'll enjoy this movie going experience.
Yeah, man, and they obviously did a lot of great work on this. So, and you're getting a deal. Like I said, like there's 5 of us watching it that would have cost us $100 at the theaters. We rented it for $20 at home, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
deal.
No, I'm with you. Well, buddy, anything else to add on this one?
Nope.
Well, folks, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook page and follow us on both Twitter and Instagram at Damn Movies. We want to hear what you thought of today's podcast and any suggestions you have, especially in terms of what movies you'd like us to discuss next. Send us an email to moviesthatdimmed@gmail.com. Please also check out John's full-length novels. His first 2 novels, Dollhouse and The Tracker, are Amazon bestsellers. You can also order his novella Balance, his book of short stories, Four Shots of Horror, and his newest novel, Off the Grid, all available right now on Amazon. For further details on John's other published works, please visit his blog, johnhuntfiction.wordpress.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Great to have you around. Great to hear from you. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. And in the meantime, stay safe and be kind to everyone.